heir to the darkness. Rain lashed against the windshield, blurring the already desolate landscape. The headlights of my car cut through the gloom, briefly illuminating skeletal trees clawing at the stormy sky. Tonight was the night. Tonight, I would spend my first night alone in Blackwood Manor, the imposing Victorian house I inherited from a great-aunt I barely knew. The power flickered as I pulled into the overgrown driveway. The house loomed ahead, a silhouette of dark secrets against the angry sky. A shiver danced down my spine despite the thick wool sweater I wore. Maybe it was just the chill of the approaching autumn or the eeriness of the place. Unlocking the massive oak door, I stepped inside. A stale, dusty smell assaulted my nose, and the air hung heavy with the silence of neglect. Cobwebs brushed my face as I fumbled with a flashlight, its beam cutting through the oppressive darkness. Each creak of the floorboards underfoot echoed like a scream. The house was cavernous, seemingly swallowing the weak glow of the flashlight. Dust motes danced in the air, illuminated by the flickering beam. Everywhere I looked, shadows stretched and morphed, playing tricks on my eyes. The air grew colder with each passing step, a tangible presence that sent goosebumps erupting on my skin. The kitchen was a battlefield of forgotten meals and chipped crockery. A faded calendar hung precariously on the wall. The last date marked a chilling 10 years ago. Who had lived here all alone for so long? Why had Aunt Eleanor left everything to me, a distant relative she barely acknowledged? Unease gnawed at me, a sense of being watched, unseen. Upstairs, the floorboards groaned under my weight. Each bedroom held a story, hinted at by faded portraits of stern-faced ancestors and dusty toys scattered across the floor. In one room, a rocking chair creaked back and forth, an unsettling movement in the still house. I bolted out of the room, my heart hammering in my chest. Sleep was an unwelcome guest. Every rustle of wind against the windows, every groan of the house, sent me bolting upright. The shadows seemed to shift, taking on grotesque shapes in the flickering moonlight that filtered through the tattered curtains. Morning brought a fragile sense of relief. At least the darkness wouldn't play tricks on my mind anymore. But the daylight revealed a new horror. Scratches marred the polished surface of the antique grandfather clock downstairs, appearing overnight. Had I imagined them in the dim light? Throughout the day, the house played its twisted games. Whispers seemed to brush past my ear, just out of reach. Doors creaked open and shut on their own. The scent of something sweet and cloying, like rotting flowers, filled the air at random intervals. Was I losing my mind? Desperate for answers, I delved into the dusty attic. There, hidden amongst cobwebs and forgotten trinkets, I found a locked chest. Inside, a leather-bound journal lay nestled amongst yellowed photographs. The journal belonged to Aunt Eleanor, filled with cryptic entries about strange occurrences and unseen figures that haunted the halls. The journal spoke of a hidden room, a passageway sealed shut years ago. Armed with this newfound knowledge, I embarked on a frantic search. Behind a heavy tapestry in the library, I found a concealed door. My heart pounded as I pushed it open, revealing a narrow, cobweb-draped staircase that descended into darkness. The air in the hidden room was thick with dust and the stench of decay. A single oil lamp rested on a dusty table, casting an eerie glow on the room. On the wall opposite the staircase, faded murals depicted a chilling scene, a ritualistic sacrifice, figures chanting around a blazing altar. And then I saw it, a figure cloaked in darkness, its back turned to me. It stood motionless before the altar, its presence radiating an unnatural chill. Terror froze me in place. A strangled scream escaped my lips as the figure slowly turned. Its face, or rather the lack of it, a swirling mass of darkness where a face should have been stared back at me. Empty sockets oozed with an inky blackness that seemed to devour the feeble light of the lamp. An inhuman shriek tore through the air, a sound that ripped through my very soul. I don't remember the escape, just the desperate scramble for the stairs, the frantic fumbling with the heavy door. I burst into the library, my lungs screaming for air. Slamming the door shut, I threw my weight against it, trembling. The house seemed eerily silent now, the only sound the frantic hammering of my own heart. Days turned into weeks. I boarded up the hidden room, the image of the faceless figure forever etched in my mind. The house remained strangely quiet after the encounter. An unsettling calm had descended, broken only by the relentless drumming of rain against the windows. The silence itself became oppressive, a constant reminder of what lurked beneath the surface. Sleep was a distant memory. Every creak, every groan of the house sent a jolt of terror through me. I spent my days huddled in the living room, the fireplace crackling with a feeble warmth that couldn't chase away the chill that had settled deep within my bones. One night, as I sat hunched over Aunt Eleanor's journal, a single line jumped out at me. The offering must be renewed. The implications sent a fresh wave of terror crashing over me. Was I the offering? The journal spoke of an ancient evil bound to the house, appeased by sacrifices made by past residents. Eleanor's cryptic entries hinted at a way to break the curse, a ritual involving an artifact mentioned only as the silver key. Hope flickered within me, a fragile flame in the overwhelming darkness. The journal offered no specifics about the key, but it mentioned a hidden compartment in her writing desk. With trembling hands, I searched the desk, finding a secret drawer concealed beneath a loose panel. Inside lay a tarnished silver key, its surface engraved with arcane symbols that sent shivers down my spine. Could this be the key to my salvation? A thrill of desperation coursed through me, pushing aside the lingering fear. Following cryptic clues scattered throughout the journal, I embarked on a frantic search for the location where the key would unlock something. Days blurred into nights as I combed through every dusty corner, every cobweb-laden nook. Frustration gnawed at me, and the house seemed to relish my growing despair. Then, almost by accident, I stumbled upon it. A faded inscription on a chipped floorboard in the attic revealed a hidden mechanism. With a satisfying click, a section of the wall swung open, revealing a narrow passage bathed in an eerie green light. Hesitation warred with desperation, but the thought of the faceless figure spurred me onward. Armed with the key and a heavy candlestick for defense, I entered the passage. The air hung thick and stale, tasting faintly of mildew. The green light emanated from glowing fungi clinging to the damp walls. The passage twisted and turned, leading me deeper into the bowels of the house. With every step, the feeling of being watched intensified. Finally, the passage opened into a cavernous room. In the center, a stone altar lay draped in rotting tapestries, and upon it, a single silver chalice pulsed with the same eerie green light. This, I realized, was the offering chamber. My heart pounded like a drum solo as I approached the altar. The silver key fit perfectly into a hidden lock beneath the chalice. A low groan echoed through the chamber as the lock clicked open. Putrid stench filled the air, making me gag. Inside the chalice lay a withered heart, blackened and twisted. Was this the offering that kept the entity at bay? Disgust warred with resolve. I knew what I had to do. Grabbing the candlestick, I smashed the chalice to pieces. A shriek that shattered the very air resonated through the chamber. The shadows writhed, twisting and contorting in a display of unimaginable malice. A wave of icy coldness washed over me as the faceless figure from the hidden room materialized before the altar. It pulsed with a malevolent energy, its empty sockets seeming to bore into my soul. I raised the candlestick high, a prayer forming on my lips. With a final, desperate scream, I lunged forward and plunged the candlestick into the darkness where its face should have been. The room erupted in a blinding light. The figure shrieked again, a sound that seemed to tear the fabric of reality itself. Then, with a deafening crack, everything went dark. When I awoke, I was lying on the floor of the secret passage, the air thick with the smell of burnt sulfur. The silver key lay beside me, its surface dull and lifeless. The passage was shrouded in darkness, the green light extinguished. Slowly, I crawled back through the passage, emerging into the familiar attic. The house felt different somehow. The oppressive weight that had hung over it seemed to have lifted. Did I succeed in breaking the curse? Or was the entity simply biding its time? The truth remained shrouded in mystery. One thing was certain. I couldn't stay in Blackwood Manor any longer. I left the house that morning, the silver key clutched tightly in my hand. The rain had stopped, and a tentative ray of sunlight pierced the clouds. Behind me, Blackwood Manor loomed, a silent,